Best-selling author Jodi Picoult has never shielded away from controversial topics.
Shied away.
Has never shied away.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Shield. But it's okay.
I'm going to start over.
Yeah.
Roll back, please, Oren. Best-selling author Jodi Picoult has never shied away, thank you guys, from controversial topics for inspiration. She has written 26 works in 24 years. Some tackle serious subjects like cancer, sexual abuse, and the Holocaust. Her newest thought-provoking novel is called Small Great Things. It takes on the issue of racism, partly inspired by a 2012 discrimination lawsuit in Michigan. Jodi Picoult, we welcome you back to the table.
Yes, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, because I didn't even know I said it. So I really appreciate you pointing out. Anyway, we are glad you were here. This book, I thought, was so interesting and so timely considering what's going on in the country now. But I look at you, white woman of privilege. How do you write a book about racism? But I thought you really captured it. You said it's one of the hardest books for you to write because?
Absolutely, because race is hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk about without offending someone. Yes. And so as a result, we often choose not to talk about it at all. Well, that in itself is a privilege. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for me, I really struggled. I tried to write about race multiple times in my career and I failed because I couldn't come at it from an authentic point. It's not my story to tell in many ways. It was this lawsuit that happened in Michigan that really changed things for me. There was a nurse with 20 years of experience on a labor and delivery ward who delivered a baby, and then the father called in her supervisor and said, I don't want her or anyone like her to touch my kid, pushed up his sleeve, revealed a swastika tattoo. The hospital barred African-American personnel from touching the baby, and she wound up getting a payout after suing this man. But it made me wonder, what if I could take that and turn it into a novel? What if that nurse was the only one alone with the child when something went wrong? What if, as a result of that, she wound up on trial, you know, with a white public defender who, like me, like many of my friends, would never say, I'm a racist. Yeah. And what if I could tell the story in alternating points of view so that every narrator had to examine their beliefs about power and privilege and race?
Now, a couple of times when I was reading the book, I had to look back and say, Jodi Picoult is still white, right? Because you captured the nuances, I'm not kidding,
Thank you.
So well that I was very impressed by that.
Well, I was really lucky. I had a group of women of color who met with me for over 100 hours of interview tape. They shared their lives with me, their trials, their successes, their fears, their failures, and they also vetted the voice of Ruth in my book. I couldn't have written this book without him, and I shouldn't have written the book without them.
Yeah, explain what that title means, Small Great Things.
Sure, so it actually comes from a quote that is often attributed to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he said, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. And although racism is big and messy and systemic and institutional, it is both perpetuated and dismantled in individual acts. And I felt like that really spoke to the message of this particular book and the knowledge that happens in the novel as these two women, the public defender and the nurse, begin to build a relationship.
Considering all that went into this book and considering all that's happening in our society, how do we have a meaningful conversation about race that does more than has been done in the past?
Well, I think one of the most important things that I personally learned is that, you know, racism isn't just about prejudice. It's also about power. And although it's very easy for us to see the headwinds of racism, the way that having a certain skin color can impede success in society, it's a little harder to tap into the tailwinds of racism, which are the ways that people who have light-colored skin get advantages because of that. And, you know, I think if this novel can do anything, hopefully it can provide a vocabulary that is a springboard. We need to talk about racism. We will make mistakes. I will make mistakes. It's better to make a mistake, learn from it, and move forward.
And we need to appreciate implicit bias.
Yeah, absolutely. And to understand that we all have it, all of us.
Yes. How did you capture the voice of the skinhead? Because you said sometimes you felt like you had to take a shower after dealing with
that was
her.
really,
he was quite a character.
Yeah. I actually, as part of my research, also met with two men who were former skinheads who taught me why they went into a life of hate and how they got out of a life of hate, and who have made very significant changes in their lives now. One of them actually works for the Simon Wiesenthal Center and is married to a Jewish woman. And, you know, my feeling was,
a change.
If they can change, though, doesn't it stand to reason that ordinary people can too?
And the book has a twist at the end. Big old twist.
Yes. How great was it to have Bryan Cranston do your tease?
I mean, from here on out, it's all downhill, isn't it? Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Jodi Picoult.
It's a great way to start the day, I'll say.
It is.
Yeah,
Small
absolutely.
Great Things goes on sale today. You're watching CBS This Morning, and we'll be right back.